You've been offered options in life that look good on the surface. You've been handed choices that seem like shortcuts, that seem like the easier way, that seem like they'll get you where you want to go faster, smoother, cleaner. But I want you to hear me right now. Just because it's offered doesn't mean it's ordained. Just because it's on the table doesn't mean it's from God. The enemy is clever. He knows how to package what will poison you in a way that looks pleasing to your eyes. And that's why you've got to be anchored so deeply in the truth that when these two options show up, the option of comfort over calling, and the option of approval over authenticity, you've got the strength to say no. Not because you don't want to be liked, not because you're trying to be difficult, but because you've decided that you'd rather live in alignment with your purpose than in agreement with the world. The world will always offer you comfort at the cost of your calling. It will try to convince you that the easier path is the better one. But let me tell you, comfort zones are where dreams go to die. Comfort zones are where callings get buried. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day surrounded by everything that feels safe and familiar, but completely empty because you never stepped out into what God was trying to give you. And the sad part? You'll realize you said yes to comfort, but you accidentally said no to destiny. That's why when they offer you comfort instead of calling, you have to say no. No to playing small, no to hiding behind excuses. No to settling for less when God promised more. You have to say no because your future is worth the fight. Your purpose is worth the discomfort. Your calling is worth the cost. And then there's the other option that will always be dangled in front of you: approval over authenticity. It's sneaky, because we all want to be accepted, we all want to be loved, we all want to fit in. But listen, the minute you start living for their approval is the minute you stop living in your authenticity. The applause of people is loud, but it fades fast, and once it fades, you're left with the reality that you traded your truth for their claps. You can't afford to do that. You can't afford to build your life on a foundation of other people's opinions. Because they will change, because their applause will stop, and when it does, will you still know who you are? Will you still have something solid to stand on? That's why you have to say no when they offer you the option to trade your authenticity for their approval. Because at the end of the day, it's your soul that's at stake. It's your peace that's on the line. It's your God-given identity that you're meant to protect at all costs. So I'm here to remind you, don't accept what's offered if it's not what's meant for you. Don't accept comfort if it means you'll miss your calling. Don't accept approval if it means you'll lose your authenticity. You weren't created to fit in. You were created to stand out. You weren't designed to take the easy way. You were designed to walk in faith, to trust God with the hard things, to embrace the uncomfortable assignments that stretch you, grow you, and transform you. You were made for more, and the more is never found in settling. The more is never found in shortcuts. The more is found when you have the courage to say no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's eternal. So the next time the option is on the table, the option that looks good but isn't God, pause. Breathe, pray, and then say no, because every no to what's not for you is a yes to what is. Every no to what they offer is a yes to what God has prepared, and I promise you, what God has prepared is worth every no you'll ever have to say. Keep your eyes on the promise, keep your heart anchored in the truth, and don't you dare settle for what's offered when God is waiting to give you what's destined. Say no now so you can say yes to the life you were born for. There's something dangerously deceptive about comfort. It whispers to you in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. It tells you you've done enough, stay here, this is good enough, why risk it? Comfort looks so inviting because it promises you rest, peace, and safety. But what it doesn't tell you is that comfort is a thief. It doesn't just steal your ambition, it robs you of your purpose. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day surrounded by everything familiar and easy, but empty because you never walked into what God was calling you to do. That's the trap of comfort over calling, and that's why, no matter how good it looks, no matter how tempting it feels, you must learn to say no to comfort when it comes at the expense of your calling. Your calling will always cost you something. It will cost you your comfort, your convenience, your pride, maybe even your reputation, because purpose isn't found on the path of least resistance. Purpose is found in the places that stretch you, that break you, that force you to lean on God like never before. And here's the hard truth: you can't have both comfort and calling at the same time. One will always demand that you sacrifice the other. And I wonder today, are you sacrificing your calling because comfort has become your idol? Are you saying yes to what feels safe, while God is trying to push you into what is sacred? You see, comfort keeps you where you are. Calling pulls you to where you're meant to go. Comfort builds walls around your life so nothing can disturb you, but it also means nothing can develop you. calling tears down those walls because God knows the only way to build your faith is to bring you into places that scare you. Comfort tells you, don't speak up, don't step out, don't take that risk. What if you fail? Calling says, speak anyway, move anyway, trust anyway, because even if you fail, I'll use the failure to form you. Comfort wants to protect your ego. Calling wants to perfect your soul, and let's be honest, the option of comfort will always look more attractive. The enemy knows that if he can't destroy you, he'll distract you. He'll dress up comfort like it's a blessing. He'll make you believe that staying where you are is wisdom, when in reality it's disobedience, and little by little, you'll start justifying your lack of progress. I'm just waiting on the right time. I'm just being cautious. I'm just making sure I don't move ahead of God. But deep down, you know it's not caution, it's fear. It's the comfort zone trying to convince you that the prison it created is actually a palace. So what do you do when comfort comes calling? You have to make a decision before the moment even arrives. You have to decide now that when God says move, you'll move. When God says speak, you'll speak. When God says give, you'll give. Because if you wait until the moment of choice to decide, comfort will win every time. Comfort will always be louder in the moment of decision. That's why you have to settle it in your spirit today that you didn't come this far to settle. You didn't come this far to stop. You didn't come this far to sit down and get comfortable. You came this far because God called you, and He didn't call you to comfort, He called you to conquer. When you choose calling over comfort, you're choosing growth over ease. You're choosing destiny over delay. You're choosing faith over fear, and yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. But I promise you this, the pain of your purpose is nothing compared to the regret of staying stuck. The struggle of obedience is nothing compared to the emptiness of disobedience. Comfort might feel good for a moment, but calling will fulfill you for a lifetime. So today, I'm asking you, what have you been saying yes to that you need to start saying no to? Where have you chosen comfort and called it contentment? Where have you settled when God was trying to stretch you? It's time to break free from the lie that comfort is the goal. Comfort was never the goal. Calling was, destiny was, impact was, and if you want to step into what God has for you, you've got to be willing to leave behind what makes you feel safe, because you can't play it safe and step into significance at the same time. The option of comfort over calling will always look attractive, but I'm here to tell you, don't take the bait. Don't settle for what is easy when God has called you to what is extraordinary. Don't let comfort rob you of the future God has prepared. Choose calling, choose courage, choose the uncomfortable path that leads to eternal impact. And when you do, you'll look back and realize that every hard choice, every uncomfortable step, every sacrifice was worth it, because you didn't just live a life that was easy. You lived a life that mattered. There's something deeply dangerous about chasing approval. It's subtle at first. It starts small. Maybe it's that moment you hold your tongue because you don't want to rock the boat. Maybe it's when you shrink yourself so others feel bigger. Maybe it's when you start editing who you are, not because God asked you to grow, but because you're desperate for applause, and little by little, the pursuit of approval becomes your prison. The loudest claps can drown out the still, small voice of God, and what do you gain? Maybe some likes, maybe some praise, maybe you even fit in for a season, but what do you lose? Your authenticity, your identity. Your soul. The option of approval over authenticity will always look like the easier road. People will cheer for you when you become what they want, but you weren't born to be what they want. You were born to be who God made you to be. And the moment you trade your authenticity for their approval is the moment you start living a lie. You might fool them, you might even fool yourself for a while, but you can't fool God, and at night when it's quiet, you'll feel the emptiness that comes from knowing you're not walking in truth. You're performing, you're pretending, you're pleasing, and your soul is starving for the real you to stand up again. You see, approval feels good for a moment, the applause is loud at first. But it fades, it always fades, and when it fades, if your life was built on it, everything starts to crumble, because people's opinions are fickle. They change with the wind. 1 minute you're their hero, the next you're their villain. That's why you can't build your identity on their claps. You can't build your foundation on their praise, because if you do, you'll constantly be adjusting who you are to keep them happy. And here's the truth, no matter how hard you try, you'll never make everyone happy. Someone will always disapprove, someone will always have something to say, and if you're living for their approval, you'll be trapped in a cycle of trying to please people who can't even be pleased. The choice to live authentically will cost you something too. It might cost you popularity, it might cost you relationships, it might cost you opportunities, but hear me, the cost of authenticity is nothing compared to the price of losing your soul. Because when you choose authenticity, you're choosing peace. You're choosing alignment with who God created you to be. You're choosing to sleep at night knowing you didn't have to fake it, knowing you didn't have to twist yourself into something you're not. You're choosing to trust that if God made you this way, then He has a plan for the real you, not the version you feel pressured to be. Approval is addictive, it's a high, and just like any addiction, the more you chase it, the emptier you become. Because no amount of applause will fill the void that only God can fill. No amount of validation from people will ever match the affirmation that comes from living in your God-given identity. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life chasing a feeling that was never meant to sustain you. You'll chase claps that were never meant to complete you, and you'll miss out on the joy of walking in the fullness of who you were called to be. So what do you do when the option is in front of you, when they offer you the chance to fit in at the cost of standing out, when they offer you their approval at the cost of your authenticity? You choose truth. You choose integrity. You choose to be who God made you to be, even if it means standing alone, because the truth is, you're never alone. God is with you, and the peace that comes from knowing you're in His will is better than any applause the world could ever give you. This world will try to tell you that success is found in applause, but real success, eternal success, is found in obedience, it's found in authenticity, it's found in having the courage to say, this is who I am, this is who God called me to be, and I refuse to change it for anyone's approval. That kind of boldness will cost you some claps, it will cost you some fans, but it will gain you heaven's favor, and when the applause fades, and it always fades, you'll still be standing. You'll still have your peace. You'll still have your soul intact. So today, I'm challenging you, stop chasing approval, start choosing authenticity, stop living for their claps, start living for God's call, because when you choose to be who He made you to be, no amount of rejection can shake you. No lack of applause can break you. You'll be rooted, you'll be grounded, and you'll be free. Let's be real for a moment. Who doesn't want the easy way? Who doesn't want the shortcut, the quick fix, the fast-forward button that gets you to the blessing without the battle, to the victory without the valley, to the promise without the process? We all feel that pull. It's human. The easy way always looks appealing. It always sounds like relief. But let me tell you something that will change your life if you let it sink in. Just because the easy way is offered doesn't mean it's the right way. In fact, the right way is rarely easy. The right way will cost you something. The right way will challenge you, stretch you, break you, and then build you stronger. And that's exactly why so many people miss out on what God has for them, because they choose what's easy over what's right. The easy way will always show up dressed like wisdom. It'll sound reasonable, it'll make sense to your mind, it'll even feel like the responsible choice sometimes. But deep down, if you're honest, you'll feel that nudge in your spirit telling you this isn't it. This isn't what God promised you, this isn't the way. And that's where the real battle begins, because now you've got to decide. Do I go with what looks easy, or do I go with what I know is right? Do I take the shortcut that everyone else is taking, or do I stay faithful on the hard path that leads to purpose? Because listen, the enemy loves to offer the easy way. He tried it with Jesus in the wilderness, remember. You don't have to go through the cross, just bow down and I'll give you everything. But Jesus knew the easy way wasn't the right way. The easy way was a trap, and it still is today. When they offer you the easy way out, it'll come at the cost of your character. The easy way says, lie a little to get ahead. The right way says, tell the truth even if it costs you the deal. The easy way says, cut corners, no one will know. The right way says, do it with integrity because God sees. The easy way says, give up, it's too hard. The right way says, endure, because the promise is on the other side of the pain. The easy way will give you quick results, but they won't last. The right way may take longer, but it builds something that can't be shaken. And I don't know about you, but I don't want what's quick. I want what's eternal. I want what's solid. I want what's from God, not what's from the world. Let's not pretend the right way isn't hard. It is. It's hard to keep going when it feels like nothing's changing. It's hard to trust God when all you see are obstacles. It's hard to stay faithful when it would be so much easier to quit. But can I tell you something? Every hard step you take in the right direction is building something in you. It's building perseverance, it's building faith, it's building strength, and one day you're going to look back and thank God you didn't take the easy way out. You're going to thank God you stayed the course, because what He's preparing for you is worth the struggle. What He's doing in you through the process is worth every tear, every trial, every sacrifice. You see, the easy way will always cost you more in the end. It looks cheap up front, but the price tag comes later and it's higher than you can afford. The easy way out of that relationship issue will leave your heart broken later. The easy way out of that job struggle will leave you with regret. The easy way out of that calling will leave you wondering what could have been. But when you stay on the right path, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when it's slow, you'll step into a reward that's greater than anything the easy way could have given you. So the next time the easy way is offered, pause. Ask yourself, is this really the path God has for me, or is this just a shortcut that will derail my destiny? Ask yourself, am I choosing what feels good now, or what will bear fruit later? And then, even if your knees are shaking, even if your heart is pounding, choose the right way. Choose the hard way. Choose the way that requires faith, the way that requires perseverance, the way that requires trust, because that's where God does his best work. That's where he shapes you, molds you, and prepares you for the promise. And remember this, the right way may be hard, but you don't walk it alone. God walks it with you. He strengthens you for the journey. He provides what you need for every step. And in the end, you won't just have a blessing, you'll have a testimony. You'll have a story of how you didn't give in to the easy way, and God showed up in power because you chose the right way, and that's a reward no shortcut can ever give you. There's a word we don't like to use very often, no. It feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? Because we're taught to be agreeable. We're taught to be flexible, to go with the flow, to say yes to every opportunity that comes our way. But here's the truth that will change the trajectory of your life. Sometimes your destiny depends on your ability to say no, not to what is evil, not to what is obviously wrong, but to what is convenient. Because what's convenient will always compete with what's destined, and if you keep saying yes to convenience, you'll miss what God is trying to do through the uncomfortable, the inconvenient, the costly moments where destiny is forged. Saying no to convenience means saying no to the easy exit when things get hard. It means saying no to quitting when the job gets stressful, when the marriage feels strained, when the dream takes longer than you thought. Convenience says, just walk away, start over, find an easier path. But destiny says, stay planted, let your roots grow deep. I'm doing something in you that takes time. And you can't have deep roots if you keep uprooting every time the soil feels tight. You can't see the harvest God promised if you abandon the field every time the work gets hard. Convenience offers you relief, but destiny offers you reward, and you have to decide which one you're going to live for. Here's what I've learned. Convenience is seductive because it always comes disguised as a blessing. It looks like the faster option, the smoother option, the one that requires the least from you. But what convenience never tells you is that it will leave you empty. Because convenience will give you comfort today but regret tomorrow. It will give you what's easy now but steal what's eternal later. You see, destiny isn't found in the shortcuts. Destiny is found in the struggle. It's found in the stretch. It's found in the places where you wanted to quit but didn't, where you wanted to say yes to convenience but chose to say no because you knew God had something greater. Saying no to convenience also means saying no to living small. Convenience will always try to shrink your vision. It'll say, why try for more? You're doing fine. It'll say, why dream bigger? Just stay where you are, it's good enough. But good enough is the enemy of great. And you weren't created for good enough. You weren't designed for average. God put greatness inside of you. But greatness doesn't come from convenience. Greatness comes from obedience. Greatness comes from doing the hard things, making the tough calls, walking the long road. And every time you say no to what's convenient, you're saying yes to that greatness. You're saying yes to becoming who God called you to be. And let's be honest, saying no to convenience isn't easy. It'll cost you something. It might cost you time. It might cost you sleep. It might cost you relationships with people who don't understand why you won't just take the easy way out. But every no you say to convenience is a yes to destiny. It's a yes to integrity. It's a yes to growth. It's a yes to God's plan over your plan. And the beautiful thing is, when you say no to what's convenient, God gives you the strength to keep going. He gives you the grace to endure. He fills in the gaps where your willpower runs out, because he knows your no to convenience is making room for his yes to purpose. So let me ask you, where have you been tempted to say yes to what's convenient? Is it in your calling, where you're tempted to give up because it's taking too long? Is it in your character, where you're tempted to compromise because integrity is hard? Is it in your relationships, where you're tempted to settle because waiting for the right one feels too lonely? Wherever it is, I want you to remember that no you're scared to say might be the very key that unlocks your destiny. That no might be the thing that positions you for the breakthrough you've been praying for. Because destiny doesn't come wrapped in convenience, it comes wrapped in sacrifice, it comes wrapped in discipline. Comes wrapped in faith that says, God, even when it's hard, I trust you. Even when it's uncomfortable, I'll follow you. Even when convenience calls my name, I'll choose what's destined instead. And here's the good news, every no to convenience gets easier. Every time you say no to the easy way, you get stronger. Every time you choose the right thing over the easy thing, your faith gets deeper. And before long, you'll find that you're no longer tempted by convenience the way you used to be. Because you'll have tasted destiny, and once you taste destiny, once you taste the fruit of faithfulness, convenience loses its appeal. You'll know that what God has is so much better than what was easy. So today, decide I will say no to convenience. I will say yes to destiny. I will walk the hard road because I know where it leads, and I won't trade what's eternal for what's easy. Not today, not ever. You weren't created to settle. I need you to let that sink in. You weren't created to accept whatever life throws your way and call it enough. You weren't created to grab whatever is offered just because it's convenient or popular. No, you were created to walk in what is ordained, and there is a massive difference between what's offered and what's ordained. What's offered comes from the world, from people, from culture, from systems that don't know your purpose, don't know your calling, don't know what God whispered over your life before you were even born. What's ordained comes from heaven. It comes from the one who formed you, the one who sees the end from the beginning, the one who crafted your destiny with his own hands. And here's the danger. If you're not careful, you'll settle for what's offered and miss what's ordained. This world will offer you many things. It will offer you opportunities that look good but aren't God. It will offer you relationships that feel right but aren't right. It will offer you positions, titles, platforms that feed your ego but starve your soul. And if you don't know the difference between what's offered and what's ordained, you'll spend your life chasing things that were never meant for you, and the scariest part, you'll think you're winning while you're really wandering. Because the enemy knows how to offer you shiny distractions that look like destiny, but just because it glitters doesn't mean it's gold, just because it's available doesn't mean it's yours. That's why you have to stay so close to God that you can discern what is from Him and what is not. God didn't create you to grab at whatever comes your way. He created you to step into what He has set apart for you, and stepping into what's ordained requires faith, it requires patience, it requires trust that what God has for you is better than anything the world could ever offer. Because here's the thing, what's offered will usually come faster. What's offered will usually look easier. What's offered will usually make you feel like you're in control. But what's ordained, that will make you wait sometimes. That will make you trust when you don't see the full picture. That will make you depend on God more than you depend on yourself. And that's where real blessing is found, not in what you grabbed, but in what you waited for. Not in what you settled for, but in what you believed God for. And let's be honest, it's hard to wait for what's ordained when what's offered is right in front of you. It's hard to say no to a good thing when you're waiting on God's thing. But if you want the fullness of what God planned for you, you have to develop the strength to say, I see what's offered, but I choose what's ordained. I see the shortcut, but I choose the slow work of God. I see the counterfeit, but I choose to wait for the real. That's maturity. That's faith. That's what separates people who settle from people who step into destiny. Think about it all through Scripture. You see people who had to choose between what was offered and what was ordained. Abraham was offered the easy way when he tried to make God's promise happen on his own, but the ordained blessing came when he trusted God's timing. David was offered a shortcut to the throne, but he chose to wait for God's appointed time. Jesus himself was offered all the kingdoms of the world without the cross, but he chose the ordained path of sacrifice because he knew what was at stake. And if he didn't settle, why should you? If he trusted the Father's plan over the enemy's offer, why shouldn't you? So let me ask you, what have you been tempted to settle for? Where have you accepted what's offered because you got tired of waiting for what's ordained? Is it a job, a relationship, a calling you tried to force, an opportunity that looked good but left you empty? It's not too late to shift. It's not too late to stop grabbing at what's offered and start believing for what's ordained. God's plan hasn't changed. His purpose for you hasn't expired. But you've got to stop settling for the immediate so you can receive the eternal. Every time you choose what's ordained over what's offered, you're saying to God, I trust you more than I trust my own eyes. I trust your timing more than I trust my impatience. I trust your plan more than I trust the world's options. And let me tell you, when you make that choice, you won't just receive a blessing, you'll receive the right blessing. you'll receive the kind of blessing that lasts, the kind that fulfills, the kind that brings peace with it. So today, make up your mind, I won't settle for what's offered. I'll wait, I'll trust, I'll believe, and I'll step into what's ordained. Because what God has for me is worth the wait, worth the fight, and worth every no I'll have to say along the way. So now you've heard the challenge, you've seen the traps that come disguised as options, comfort over calling, approval over authenticity, the easy way out when the right way feels too hard, the convenient choice when destiny is asking you to wait, the offer that looks good but was never ordained for your life. All these options will show up. They will stand in your path, wave at you, try to seduce you with promises of ease, applause, success, and satisfaction. But I want you to remember this: what looks good isn't always God, what feels easy isn't always right, what's offered isn't always what's yours. You've got to make a decision deep down in your spirit. I will not settle. I will not accept less than what God planned for me. I will not take comfort if it costs me my calling. I will not trade my authenticity just to be liked. I will not sell my soul for their claps. I will not grab the easy way when I know the right way is where God meets me. I will not say yes to convenience if it means saying no to destiny, and I will not take what's offered just because it's available. I'll wait, I'll fight, I'll endure, because what God has for me is better. What God has for me will last. What God has for me will satisfy my soul in ways no shortcut ever could. You see, the power of this message isn't just in knowing what to say no to, it's in knowing why you're saying no. You're saying no because you want more than what's immediate. You want more than what's easy. You want what's eternal. You want what's real. You want what's from God. And here's the beautiful promise: every no you say to the wrong option clears the path for you to say yes to what's right. Every time you resist the temptation to settle, you position yourself for the blessing that's been waiting for you. Every time you choose calling over comfort, authenticity over approval, right over easy, destiny over convenience, and what's ordained over what's offered, you grow. You become who you were always meant to be. You step into the fullness of God's purpose for your life, and don't think for a second that you have to do this alone. God sees your struggle. He knows how hard it is to say no to what's comfortable. He knows how loud the applause can sound when you're tempted to trade authenticity for approval. He knows how tempting the easy way can feel when you're tired of the fight, but His grace is sufficient. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. When you feel like giving in, He'll lift you up. When you feel like compromising, He'll remind you of your worth. When you feel like grabbing at what's offered, He'll whisper, "Wait, I have something better." And if you keep trusting Him, if you keep choosing His way over the world's way, you will see the reward. You will step into your promise. You will walk in victory. So today, make up your mind: no more settling. No more shortcuts, no more chasing claps, no more easy outs, no more accepting what's offered just because it's in front of you. From this day forward, you say no to what's beneath your calling, and yes to what God has ordained. And when you do, I promise you won't just survive, you'll thrive. You won't just exist, you'll live the life you were created for, a life of purpose, a life of power, a life that glorifies God and leaves a legacy that no shortcut could ever provide. That's what happens when you have the courage to say no. That's what happens when you refuse to settle. That's what happens when you step into what's ordained.